what's next for Alex Pereira? He did seem to tease a big-time move to heavyweight. We don't know if it'll be temporary, one-time, or full-time. Of course, in the post-fight interview with Joe Rogan after defeating Magomed Ankalaev, you did see Poatan say, I had a prepared statement, and instead of reading it, he chose instead to do a moment of silence for the death of John Jones's brother and a former NFL player, Arthur Jones, which was a classy move right there. But we would see him go on to talk about hopes of not only moving up to heavyweight, but potentially fighting John Jones at the White House in June. So, Luke, given his age of 38, given everything he's accomplished in just 4 years as a UFC fighter and the reputation that he's built within the company, which matters because he's doing what Dana loves, a guy that will turn around on short notice, will fight anybody at any time. Few would argue Pereira deserves the opportunity to be the first to move up to heavyweight and maybe become the first 3-division champion in UFC history. But from a promotional standpoint, provided Pereira's injured foot, which we'll get into a second, doesn't keep him out, what do you think would be the best way to accommodate Pereira's heavyweight hopes in 2026? Is it a one-off against a contender or Derek Lewis, someone like that? Is it John Jones in a super fight? Is it lining him up to face Tom Aspinall or the winner of the Cyril Gane matchup? How would you, if you were the UFC, given that he's healthy, address his wishes? Because few have more leverage and money in the bank with the company than Poatan right now.
Well, I think that the prevailing view that I see online, it's not my view, but I definitely recognize that it's there, is that people want Poatan to fight John Jones now on this White House card. And I think for a couple of reasons. One, again, Poatan just went in there, and it wasn't like I guess he defended one takedown, that half-ass takedown after Ankalaev got rocked. It's not really a great examination of how he would do it with the wrestling,
Sure.
but the point is that, Poatan would argue, I don't need to worry about that because of look what I did. I beat him with these other things. There's a lot of star power there between Poatan and John Jones. There is obviously, you even heard Poatan say he was going to call him out and then didn't want to, obviously, because there was this tragic and sudden passing of his brother. So there was this moment of silence there, which I thought was, by the way, a very classy gesture on the part of Poatan. But I'm just sort of pointing out, you need an American on that White House card. John has been angling for it. It's not my personal preference for what I would see. I'm going to answer it just based on what I want to see. Understanding that I think that the majority of fans probably want to see those two together on that card. I want to see Poatan get the winner of the next pay-per-view.
So that's Aspinall versus Cyril Gane.
Either way, you're going to get something worthwhile there. Now, to that point, in either case, that's probably not a fight that is as well suited for that White House card as the John Jones factor because of who John is. He's an American, obviously one of the most decorated champs in UFC history, blah, blah, blah. You get the point there. But for me, if Gane wins, which I don't think he will, but a striking contest between those two would be very fun. Or in the case of Aspinall, I don't know. I don't know exactly what Aspinall's got to offer. I would favor Aspinall to win.
Sure.
But Aspinall needs a boost.
Yep.
He needs somebody to help raise his profile.
A boost Megomedov?
He doesn't need my man's got one round and then the show's over. You know what I'm saying? He's good for a round.
He's great for a round.
He's fucking awesome for a round. For me, the answer is the winner of UFC 321's main event. But I recognize that, Long Island Luke, I'm guessing you probably prefer the Jones factor at the White House, yeah?
No, I'm actually with you.
Oh, okay.
But I'll actually say with this caveat, if Aspinall wins, I want to see Pereira Aspinall. If Gane wins, then I would go John Jones Pereira.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Just because that's the bigger, star value fight.
That's true.
Can't we have it all and have Jones Aspinall and then Pereira also on the card or on a different card making his heavyweight debut? Or do you want...
Who would it be?
I don't know. I mean, I guess it's what it depends on Pereira's injury. It depends on a few things. Because if he can come back pretty soon, it's like, do you put him in a main event in one of your early Paramount numbered pay-per-view or PLEs, whatever you want to call them?
He may have broken his foot, so we don't...
Yeah, well, let's get right to that. Can you do the foot video first?
I know you have a boot on your foot here. When you think about the timeline of getting back in there, you've always been very active throughout your UFC career. When do you want to get back in there?
Yeah, we have to see how this heals up. I'm pretty sure it's broken. I was kicking his legs, and when he switched stances, as soon as I kick his lead leg, I felt my foot, so we'll have to see.
All right. Did that tell you that the White House return in June, which is now being targeted for Sunday, June 14th, which is the president's birthday,
Yes, very American history focused. I can see that.
I can't wait to see you holding up a $1 coin with that man's face on it. We'll get more on the LGBTQ spin-off political channel. Luke, I'm not a doctor here.
Right.
If he has a broken foot, then June probably would be a more realistic return, wouldn't it be?
My understanding, which of course is quite limited, probably makes January aggressive as a timeline.
Sure. And you are hearing Ilya Gaethje as a rumor of that could be the first Paramount card.
Which is something of a squash match, but fine. It would serve.
You never know. I mean, I agree with you, but you do never know. Okay?
You know, fair enough. But okay. But it makes the June timeline for Poatan certainly doable.
Sure.
So I think.
So if you're doing the June thing.
Just to add the other piece here, if you're going to do whatever you do, whether it's Aspinall, Gane, Jones, whoever, give me Yuri and Carlos Ulberg interim title.
Interim title. So interim title just in case he stays at heavyweight.
Yes.
Meaning just in case Pereira moves up.
If he goes up there, and even if it's fluky, right? Even if he dude, who am I? What impression is this? Tom Aspinall.
Yeah.
What if he gets you could even say, what if he just gets lucky and he just fucking chins him one time? They're gonna run it back. But then again, if you can get Poatan John at any point, do you just cash it in and do it? There's a lot of questions here. He chins Aspinall. Again, I don't think this is the likeliest outcome. But then, to your point, you do that and then they're going to set up the John thing. Like, if he goes up to heavyweight and has any measure of success, I'm not saying he never goes back to 205, but it seems a lot less likely.
He talked to this past fight week about how tough it is now to make 205. So I think that has to be part of the decision.
He's 38.
Let's first hear from Dana White, who wasn't all in on the idea of Pereira at heavyweight, which was interesting, but he also talked about the joy of promoting someone like Poatan.
So today I was at work and had a bunch of meetings over there this afternoon, and I went over to the PI, and he was over in the PI. And I'm like, well, you're the last guy I expected to see here today. What are you doing here? And they're telling me, we want to fight at heavyweight. I said, how about we win tonight and focus on tonight, and then we could talk about, heavyweight. And I don't know. There's still fights here in this division, but we'll see. I mean, this guy has been an absolute stud for us. He's on vacation in Australia, flies over and fights because, somebody fell out. He fights when he's hurt. He doesn't care. He wants to fight everybody. He wants to move up to heavyweight. He's a dream to have in this organization.
And now we have Alex Pereira after the fight doing that new sort of UFC post pay-per-view press or podcast thing that they do. Here's Chris Weidman talking to Poatan about his dream super fight that he wants.
So there's a lot of options now for his next fight. You got Carlos Ulberg, you got Yuri Prochazka. They both really want the shot. You also have heavyweight. He's talked about going up to heavyweight. I know he doesn't make the fights. It's what the UFC wants to do. But if it was up to him, what does he think is the most exciting and most probable matchup next?
Tem muita opção agora. O Uber, o Prochazka. Não é você que decide, não é você que casa as lutas, mas o que te empolgaria mais?
Derek, by the way.
Peso pesado.
Heavyweight.
Translator.
Heavyweight. Oh, wow.
Not even a moment's hesitation.
Wow. Yeah. Well, we got Aspinall and Cyril Gane booked already, I think, in next month.
This month.
Abu Dhabi.
Oh, this month, yeah. So I guess I wait for the winner of that. That would be the best bet for him.
Tem o Aspinall, o Cyril Gane lutando aí esse mês. Essa é a melhor aposta.
Não, queria super luta.
No, I want a super fight.
Oh, super fight at heavyweight.
I can think of one.
Wow.
name
Derek
that would,
Lewis?
That would do it for him.
Who else is there?
It's Aspinall, man.
Bom, não sei se Casa Branca, John Jones.
John
seria uma
Jones.
super luta.
Oh,
At the White House.
John Jones. That's
okay.
a super fight.
All right, so he's
Interesting. What's kind of funny before is, two things. I've said it before. What makes Poatan special, BC, he's a big game hunter. He's only out for the big game on the safari. That's the first thing I'd say. That's part of his DNA. What's interesting about the Jones thing is before it was Jones kind of angling for it when he had the belt, and which caused all the friction. It's like, you got to fight the guy who's been waiting on it, which there's an interim champ at that time. A, that's now gone. B, now you've got Poatan lobbying for it.
And who has more money in the bank, to go back to that point? You heard Dana say
right.
It's like
he's built up some capital, and now he wants to spend it. Now, there obviously is a big question here about where this all leaves Jones. And again, I don't obviously his family has experienced a profound tragedy.
Absolutely.
So I don't even know what to say about that, especially at the present circumstances. I suppose we'll hear from him in time when he feels ready. But to me, it's not the fight that I particularly want to see. However, what I recognize is different now is that the belt thing is gone. It's irrelevant. And Poatan wants it after a historically unusual performance. That changes the stakes of it probably by a significant amount.
All right, whether he's or actually let's keep it in this Jones-Aspinall matchup. In theory here, if Saturday's version of Poatan at full strength, full camp, or close enough to 100% full strength is what he still has, let's imagine him now with a little more weight on the frame. Let's also remind ourselves that he stuffed all 12 takedowns from Ankalaev. Whenever we originally talked about the idea of the Poatan-Jones super fight when John was really pushing for it so that he didn't have to fight Aspinall, the first thing we said, well, yeah, John's just going to take him down like he did Serial Gain and just sit on him. Do you feel like that would be a major factor in that fight? Like, what does full-strength 38-year-old Poatan moving up with that speed, with that power, what would that look like against John in your eyes? Does he still end up on the bottom?
I would imagine that he would. I mean, if you're John Jones, are you trying to strike with that fucking with that fucking guy for any? I mean, for any of these. I mean,
probably gonna kick him in the kneecap
dude, listen,
right away.
What did Tom Aspinall say? If he had to fight him, he would rugby tackle him after running across the octagon. Like, dude, look at Ankalaev. Ankalaev is a talented, well-rounded fighter.
Yeah.
Is he the best striker at 205 or the division? No, but he's very competent and very good. And he couldn't last 80 seconds under duress. I mean, just consider that. Do you think John Jones would last any longer under duress? No, absolutely. Or Aspinall or Gane or any of these guys. They would have to change up the equation. So to me, that's why this win is so great. But at the same time, it does leave some questions because it's like, right, well, now that the cat's out of the bag, that you might just come out of there like Evel Knievel, shot out of a goddamn cannon, they're going to be ready for this. And at a bare minimum, they're going to want to turn the tide on him. What does that do? We'll have to see.
Wow. Good stuff right there.
Listen to the conversations that we're having, right? Listen to how fun these possibilities sound like. Poatan just brings joy. Does he not?
He does.
He just brings joy.
I used to say that about the fighting nerds when they used to win. They just bring fun, joy, but Poatan does. So to remind you, Poatan 10-2 in UFC in less than 4 years. 2 division championships, now on his second reign at light heavyweight. He has beaten everyone he has stepped foot into the octagon with. He has 12 fights. 8 of them have been title fights. The stats go on and on. So Luke Thomas, this is probably the most important question of what could happen by him moving up to heavyweight in my mind. John Jones, 2 division champion, the recognized GOAT. Could you make an argument for GSP, even someone like Khabib or Silva? I mean, you could, but I've never been in a time where it's felt more universal that John Jones is the GOAT. If Alex Pereira were to defeat John Jones in a super fight or defeat the winner of Aspinall Gane to become the first 3-division champion in UFC history, would you feel comfortable saying he could exit those fights as the GOAT in the history of the sport? Or is it too special and unique, his run, to compare it to others? Because if you had to say at 38, what's left for him? What else could he do? We're talking about, Jones' super fight win or that 3rd division title. But with that, is that enough for him to not only enter that conversation, but to potentially exit the cage with that mythical title, with people saying, yep, he's probably the best we've ever seen?
I'm not sure how to answer that question because do I consider him the most objectively talented fighter that has ever entered the octagon? I don't think I can say that.
Not on a pound-for-pound level, no.
However, if you have a double champ record in the highest level of professional kickboxing, for heavyweights anyway, or for big guys, and then you have the most unique run and achieve a feat of excellence before any other fighter could do it, to your point, becoming a triple champ, what are you supposed to call that guy?
Or if you take on the reigning GOAT, although, he's older, but if he signs up for the fight, you take him on, and let's say you beat him.
Yeah.
Isn't that like the easiest path to try to get there? I'm not saying even a win over an old...
beating the champion.
Even a win over an old Jones. I'm not saying that automatically catapults him, but if you did get that, if you became the first 3-division champion, I mean, that's hard.
That's like, I don't even know what, it's so mental. It's actually quite, I've said this, again, I said it on the show, I said it on Saturday night. He's like, the guy achieves in ways that are so unusual by conventional standards that like when you're trying to compare him to other people, it's like, okay, well, there's pieces that fit, but he's his own unique standard. It's the Poeton standard, and it's just in real time hard to grasp, but a fun thing to witness.